Hello friends, welcome to my YouTube channel, and today in this video we are going to study about the intrinsic semiconductor and extrinsic semiconductor. In the previous video of semiconductor devices, we have seen the classification of the semiconductor on the basis of their conductivity or classification of metals, uh, insulators and semiconductors. Basically we have seen on the basis of energy band diagram and on the basis of conductivity. Now today we are going to discuss about the intrinsic and extrinsic semiconductor. So first is the intrinsic semiconductor. Intrinsic semiconductor. They are also known as elemental semiconductor or pure semiconductor. So basically intrinsic semiconductors are basically pure semiconducting materials at low temperature. Their conductivity is very low because no any free electron is there which is available for conduction. But when these type of conductors or semiconductors are thermally excited, some of the covalent bonds may break and electrons or holes are available for conduction. Thus conductivity can be increased. So first I am drawing a lattice of pure semiconductor like silicon. Suppose we are taking, this is your silicon atom, silicon. We are drawing the lattice of the silicon, pure semiconductor, silicon. Silicon, like this we can draw, and silicon has got 4 number of electrons in their outermost shell. Okay, let me draw the electrons, valence electrons. These are the 4 valence electrons. 1, 2, 3, 4. All the silicon atoms have got 4 number of valence electrons which will take part in bond formation. So these are the 4 valence electrons of the silicon atom, and this is a simple lattice of silicon. Now all these valence electrons are shared with the neighboring electrons or neighboring electrons of the silicon atom with the covalent bonds. Now we can show the covalent bonds. So generally at room temperature, what happens, all these electrons are bound with the covalent bonds. This electron will be bound with the neighboring atom like this, with the covalent bond. This silicon electron of the silicon atom, valence electron. In this way, all the electrons in their lattice of the silicon are bound with covalent bond. At room temperature, no any electron is freely available or no any hole is freely available to take part in conduction. You can easily see there, this is the lattice of the silicon, and all these electrons are bound in the lattice of the silicon with the covalent bond. These are the electrons. Now when these electrons are thermally excited, when they are supplied the energy from the outside, these are the electrons. This electron will make a bond with the neighboring silicon atom. Here you can see it there. This is the lattice of the silicon atom. Now no any electron is available, freely available to take part in conduction. That's why the conductivity of such type of semiconductor, intrinsic semiconductor, is very low. So this is the lattice structure of the silicon. So generally what happens, at low temperature no any electron is freely available. Now if this is, suppose it is thermally excited. Now suppose these electrons are thermally excited. When these electrons are thermally excited, thermal excitation of electrons is there, thermally thermally excited basically, or basically we can say thermal excitation here. Thermal excitation. When this electron is thermally excited, then what will happen? Some of the covalent bonds may break. This covalent bond will break, and what will happen? This electron will come out from its lattice. This electron will be freely available. So what will happen? This electron is known as thermally excited electrons. Excited electron. Okay. And similarly, when electron will leave its site, suppose electron is leaving the site from this point, then what will happen? Here one vacancy will be created. Vacancy with effective positive charge will be created, and this positive charge is known as hole. In this way, a number of electrons are thermally excited and the electrons are available free to take part in conduction. If a strong electric field is applied to this lattice of the silicon, then electron will move, which is negatively charged particle. It will move towards the positive potential, and the hole is positively charged particle, so it will move towards the negative potential. And when they will start moving towards the positive and negative potential, they will give rise to the electron current and hole current. So basically now we are going to discuss the complete concept about the intrinsic semiconductor. So basically these semiconductors are pure semiconductors. Intrinsic semiconductors are pure semiconductors. These are pure semiconducting materials. At room temperature, their conductivity is very very low. Why? Because no free electron or hole is available to take part in conduction. To take part in conduction. Now, but when these semiconductor materials, when they are thermally excited, some of the free electrons, some of the covalent bonds, basically some of the covalent bonds may break and and electrons or holes are available for conduction, are available for conduction, and in this way conductivity can be increased. Thus conductivity can be increased. Okay, so this is all about the intrinsic semiconductor. At room temperature their conductivity is very low because no any electron or hole is freely available to take part in conduction. But when these electrons are thermally excited, some of the covalent bonds may break, leading to the availability of free electrons or holes, and in this way the conductivity can be increased. Basically what happens, basically basically intrinsic semiconductor refer to pure semiconducting materials like silicon or germanium. Pure materials in which conductivity is due to in which conductivity is due to its intrinsic property rather than the presence of rather than the presence of any impurity. So basically no any impurity is there in intrinsic semiconductor. So basically conductivity is due to its own property, its own pure property or intrinsic property. That's why the name is intrinsic semiconductor. Now just I've explained when the electrons are thermally excited, some of the covalent bonds may break, leading to the availability of the free electrons. So basically when the electron will leave its site, so when an electron, what is hole? Now let me see what is hole. When an electron leaves its site, a vacancy will be created. When the electron will leave its site, one vacancy will be created there, one vacancy, and the effective charge on that vacancy will be positive with an effective charge, that is positive charge plus q, known as, and this positive charge is known as hole is generated. Hole is generated. So this is all about the intrinsic type of semiconductor. Now what happens? Generally the number of electrons that is freely available, that will be equal to the number of holes. Basically if you are denoting Ne is equal to number of electrons, then number of electrons, freely available electrons, will be equal to the number of holes. Ne is equal to Nh, because when one electron is freely available, when the electron will lift its side from its lattice, one positive charge will be generated. In this way, if there are n number of freely available electrons, then n number of holes will be generated. So any number of electron is equal to number of holes. It is equal to Ni, that is charge carrier. They are known as charge carrier because they carry the charge. It is known as Ni. Ni is known as intrinsic carrier concentration. So basically you need to remember this. The number of electrons and the number of holes in case of intrinsic semiconductor, basically both are equal. Now we can move further about the intrinsic semiconductor. So now suppose we are applying an electric field. When when an electric field is applied, when an electric field is applied, holes, that is positively charged particle, holes move towards negative potential, giving the whole current IH, giving the whole current IH, and the electrons and the electrons move towards positive potential, positive potential, giving rise to electron current IE. So basically the net current, it will be equal to IE plus IH. Thus we can say, and the total current I is thus the sum of whole current and electron current. So basically the total current I will be equal to sum of whole current and electron current. So basically total current I, it will be equal to IE, electron current, plus whole current IH. When we will apply an electric field to the lattice of the silicon, then the freely available electrons, they will move towards the positive potential, and when they will start moving towards the positive potential, they will give rise to the electron current, and the holes will start shifting towards the negative potential. And when they will start shifting towards the negative potential, they will also give rise to a current that is known as hole current, and the net current in the lattice now, or the net current in the circuit, is basically the sum of electron current and the hole current. So basically this is the process of conduction of the intrinsic semiconductor. Now there is a process which is also going on simultaneously from the generation of electron and holes. Just we have seen, when we will thermally excite the electrons, electron and holes are generated. Okay, so at the same time there is a combination of electrons with the holes. When the electron will start moving in the lattice of the silicon atom, what will happen? They will collide with the positively charged holes. When they will collide with the positively charged holes, there will be the recombination of the positive charge with the negative charge. So basically what happens? So apart from generation, apart from generation of holes and electrons, a simultaneous process, a simultaneous process of recombination occurs due to an electron colliding with a hole. And at equilibrium, basically two processes are simultaneously going on. First is the generation, and second is the recombination. Generation of electron hole pairs, and recombination is the colliding of electron with the holes. So basically at equilibrium, rate of generation, rate of generation is equal to the rate of recombination of charge carrier. So this is all about the intrinsic semiconductor. In this topic, what we have seen their conductivity is very low, but when the electrons are thermally excited, some of the covalent bonds may break, leading to the availability of free electrons. But when the electron will leave its site from the lattice of the silicon or the pure semiconductor, there will be one vacancy created, and the effective charge at that vacancy, it will be positive charge, that is known as hole. And when we will apply electric field to the lattice of this silicon atom, the electrons will start moving towards the positive potential and holes will start moving towards the negative potential, giving rise to electron current and hole current, and the total current, basically it will be equal to electron current plus hole current. And in this pure semiconductor, what we have seen, the number of electrons and the number of holes both are same. So this is all about the intrinsic semiconductor. Now, even if you are thermally exciting the intrinsic semiconductor, their conductivity cannot be increased to a higher value. So what we will do? Now we are going to study a new topic now. The other type of semiconductor, it is known as extrinsic semiconductor. Extrinsic semiconductor. So basically what happens, in order to increase the conductivity of pure semiconductor or intrinsic semiconductor, so basically to increase the conductivity to increase the conductivity of an intrinsic semiconductor, a very small amount, a very small amount of impurity. Very small amount means basically 1 part in 1 million, 1 ppm, 1 ppm, 1 part in 1 million means very small amount of impurity is added is added to pure semiconductor. The material thus obtained, the semiconducting material thus obtained, the material thus obtained is known as extrinsic semiconductor. Is known as extrinsic semiconductor. Okay, so this is basically extrinsic semiconductor, and there is certain process of adding the impurity. The process of adding impurity is known as doping. Is known as doping. And impurity atoms are known as dopants. The size of the dopant while doping, the necessary condition must be the size of dopant must be equivalent or similar, or it will be equal, must be same as semiconducting material or intrinsic semiconducting material. Now we will see how the conductivity of a pure semiconductor can be increased by just adding a very small of impurity. So now basically when we are adding the impurity to the pure semiconductor, the process is known as doping, and the impurity atom that is added is known as dopant. So basically there are two types of dopants here. There are two types of dopants. There are two types of dopants used in doping of pure semiconducting material, doping of tetravalent. Tetravalent means valency 4, tetravalent silicon or germanium. So these are the two types of impurity. First is known as pentavalent impurity. Pentavalent impurity, that is known as having valency 5. Pentavalent means valency is 5, and these are the pentavalent impurities. One is the phosphorus P, phosphorus, the symbol is P. Then we have arsenic, As, antimony, Sb. These are the examples of pentavalent impurity. And another type of impurity is trivalent impurity. Trivalent impurity, the valency is 3. Yes, in the outermost cell, 3 electrons are present in the impurity atom. Valency 3. So these are the examples: boron, B, aluminium, Al, and indium ion. These are the examples of trivalent impurity. So on the basis of adding the impurity, whether we are adding pentavalent impurity or trivalent impurity, this extrinsic semiconductor are divided into two categories. So now we will see the types of extrinsic semiconductor now. So now extrinsic semiconductor, now they are divided into two categories. Extrinsic semiconductor. So whether we are adding trivalent impurity or pentavalent impurity, we will get two different types of extrinsic semiconductor. One is known as p-type semiconductor and other is known as n-type semiconductor. So basically we can say p-type extrinsic semiconductor, and other is n-type semiconductor. N-type semiconductor. Now we will study these two types of extrinsic semiconductor one by one. So these are the two types of extrinsic semiconductor. Now first is the p-type semiconductor, or we can take n-type semiconductor, no problem. So first I am going to explain the p-type semiconductor. First is the p-type semiconductor. Okay. Why it is known as p-type extrinsic semiconductor? Basically it is a extrinsic semiconductor. And how the extrinsic semiconductor is obtained? The extrinsic semiconductor is obtained when we add very small amount of impurity to a pure semiconductor or intrinsic semiconductor. And why we are adding a very small amount of impurity to extrinsic semiconductor? So that their conductivity can be increased, because the conductivity of intrinsic semiconductor or pure semiconductor is very low. Now let me draw the lattice of the pure semiconductor first. So these are the silicon atoms, silicon, 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 silicon. And all the silicon atoms have 4 electrons in their outermost shell because they are tetravalent. Let me draw tetravalency. These are the 4 electrons. By the green dots you can see these are the electrons. 1 electron, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. These silicon atoms have 4 number of electrons in their outermost shell because they are tetravalent. So basically this is the pure semiconductor. Now we are adding very small amount of impurity, like suppose boron is added to this lattice. Okay, they are slowly heated and the boron atom is added. When it settles down, the boron atom will just occupy the space in the lattice of the silicon. So suppose now we are adding a very small amount of impurity to the lattice of this silicon atom, like boron. Now in this place, now we are adding the boron. This is your boron B. Now it is added. Now since boron is a trivalent impurity, so it has got 3 number of electrons in its outermost shell because it is a trivalent impurity. Here 3 electrons are there. You can see it there. 1, 2 and 3. Now let me show you how the bond is formed between different atoms. So this silicon atom, you can see it there. This silicon atom, silicon and boron here, silicon, boron. Here is one silicon atom, electron. This electron with the neighboring silicon atom, they will take part in the bond formation, covalent bond. So here you can see easily, you can see still one position is left there because silicon has got nothing here. So what will happen? Its octet is not completed. So what will happen? Just it will pull the electron from the neighboring atom. Suppose this electron is pulled here, it is occupying the space here. Then what will happen? Here one vacancy will be created with the positive charge. You can see the arrow direction. So here one vacancy will be created, and that vacancy has the positive charge, and this is known as hole. So basically you can see that when the boron will occupy the space in the lattice of the silicon atom, due to the addition of one boron atom, one hole is generated. And when you will apply the electric field, these holes will start moving towards the negative potential, giving rise to the hole current. But suppose we are adding just 1 gram of the boron atom, just 1 gram, very small amount, or even less than that, 1 milligram of the boron atom. Then in 1 milligram of boron atom, many number of electrons are there. Just I'm assuming the Avogadro number 6.022 into 10 to the power 23 electrons are present. Suppose these electrons, this many number of free electrons or holes will be generated when we are adding very small amount of impurity, because due to the shift of one electron one hole is created. So suppose there are 6.2 into 0 to 6.022 into 10 to the power 23 electrons are just they are shifting to fill the boron atom. Then what will happen? This number of electron holes will be generated. So apart from this addition of the impurity, there will be thermal excitation also. Once the current will start flowing, or this lattice will start conducting, due to the heating effect of the current, there will be the thermal excitation of the electrons also, and due to that also there will be freely available electrons and holes. In this way the conductivity can be increased to a considerable amount. That's why there is a process of doping here. So what we can say about the p-type semiconductor? This is the lattice of the p-type semiconductor. So now we can see that when we are adding, because holes are now more, now when trivalent impurity, when trivalent impurity like boron, when trivalent impurity is added to pure semiconducting material or to intrinsic semiconductor, p-type extrinsic semiconductor is obtained. Okay, so this is all about the p-type semiconductor. The lattice structure just I've shown you. In p-type semiconductor, you need to remember here number of holes are more as compared to the number of electrons. Here you can see number of holes are more because holes are free now. Number of holes are greater than number of electrons, and basically the conduction is mainly due to the holes here. So this is all about the p-type semiconductor. How p-type semiconductor is obtained? When we are adding trivalent impurity. Now moving to the next type of semiconductor. The next type of semiconductor is n-type semiconductor. Now how n-type semiconductor is obtained? Now we will see it. N-type semiconductor. So again I am drawing the lattice structure of the silicon, pure semiconductor first. So this is the lattice of the silicon, 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 silicon. And now suppose we are adding very small amount of impurity. Now we are adding suppose pentavalent impurity now, like phosphorus. Now we are adding in place of silicon. So it will occupy some space, some place on in the lattice of the silicon. So now this is suppose your phosphorus, and phosphorus has got 5 number of electrons in their valence shell, and these are the electrons. We can see silicon is tetravalent, 4 electrons are there. Silicon, silicon, 4 electrons are there in valence shell of silicon. And in case of phosphorus, phosphorus is pentavalent, so it has got 4 number of electrons in its valence shell. You can see it there, 1 2 3 4, and one more electron is there, 5. Now there's a bond between 2 electrons of the neighboring atom, that the bond is covalent bond. This silicon atom, this silicon atom, you can see it there. These electrons are shared to complete their octet. 4 will be shared with the 4 electrons of the neighboring atom. In this way, all the silicon atoms will complete their octet. And the bond between these electrons is basically covalent bond, which is weak. It is not very strong bond. You can see it there. This electron will share with the electron of the neighboring silicon atom. There is also one atom. You can see it there. So all the electrons now shared, and their phosphorus has also completed its octet. Now you can see it there. One electron is still available freely due to the addition of one phosphorus. This electron is not taking part in the bond formation. So this is basically freely available electrons. Freely available electrons. And why it is freely available? Due to the addition of the impurity, due to the addition of the phosphorus. In this way, suppose 6.022 into 10 to the power 23 atoms of phosphorus is added. Then as many number of phosphorus atoms are there, as many number of free electrons will be available there. So basically the number of electrons now, or the number of charge carrier now available due to the addition of the impurity is very large. So their conductivity can be increased considerably. And here, since number of electrons are more as compared to the number of holes here, that's why the type of that semiconductor is n-type extrinsic semiconductor. So how this n-type semiconductor is obtained? So now we can say when pentavalent impurity is added to intrinsic semiconductor or pure semiconductor n-type extrinsic semiconductor is obtained. N-type extrinsic semiconductor is obtained. So this is all about the n-type extrinsic semiconductor. Okay, and in case of extrinsic semiconductor, the number of electrons is greater as compared to the number of holes. So basically electrons are the majority charge carrier. Here you can say electrons are majority charge carrier, and electrons are and holes are minority charge carrier. Minority charge carrier. Okay, so this is all about the extrinsic semiconductor and intrinsic semiconductor. Now let us quickly recap about the extrinsic semiconductor, p-type and n-type semiconductor. Let me find in the box. Yeah. So now we will differentiate between p-type semiconductor and n-type semiconductor. Point by point we will see. First is the p-type semiconductor, and here is the n-type semiconductor. First point, how the p-type semiconductor is obtained? When we are adding trivalent impurity. So basically when trivalent impurity is added to pure semiconducting material, we get p-type extrinsic semiconductor. How the n-type semiconductor is obtained? When pentavalent impurity is added to pure semiconducting material, we get n-type extrinsic semiconductor. Second point, in p-type semiconductor, number of holes, NH. In p-type semiconductor, number of holes is very greater than number of electrons. That's why the name is p-type semiconductor. In n-type semiconductor, the number of electrons is greater than number of holes. That's why the name is n-type semiconductor. Third, in p-type semiconductor, holes are majority charge carrier. Holes are majority charge carrier. And in case of n-type semiconductor, electrons are majority charge carrier. Majority charge carrier. In case of p-type semiconductor, electrons are minority charge carriers. Electrons are minority charge carrier. And in case of n-type semiconductor, holes are minority charge carrier. Minority charge carrier. So this is all about p-type and n-type semiconductor. Hopefully you have understood about the p-type semiconductor and n-type semiconductor. In the next video, when we will come, we will study about the PN junction diode and the formation of basically the diode. We will see the concept about the diode. So thank you everyone for watching the video.